Hello and welcome to helpyourmath.com. Okay, a little more terminology. We have quantitative data. This represents counts or measurements, such as the age of a respondent. Then there's qualitative data or categorical data. These are names or labels that are not numbers representing counts or measurements, such as the state a respondent is from. So if you can put it in some sort of bucket or some category, it's probably categorical data. But if it's something that's counting or measuring, that's going to be quantitative data. Oops, one more thing about categorical data. These include numbers that do not represent counts or measurements, such as the numbers shown on the back of the Denver Broncos offensive line, right? The numbers are mostly meaningless. Like, it doesn't matter if someone's 53 versus 56. That's just a way to identify them, for the refs to identify them. The numbers that are categorical, the numbers are categorical data as they make the distinction between the players. So otherwise they don't serve a purpose. Like when I think of quantitative data, I think of like, can we find the mean? And if we found the mean or the average, would it have any context? And if you found the mean or the average of the offensive line's numbers, that doesn't tell us anything. Okay, so we're going to play the game. Is this quantitative or categorical? The weights of a litter of kittens, what do you think? If you said quantitative, you would be correct. Yeah, that would be quantitative, right? Because this is something, going back to just like, can we do something with this data? If we found the mean, would the mean be meaningful? Yeah, it would. It would tell us something about this litter of kittens. The time in seconds of a 100-meter dash. This would also be quantitative. There would be meaning in the mean. Yes, I'm totally having fun with that. I'm so sorry. The answers of a multiple choice test. What do answers usually look like? They usually look like A, B, C, D, maybe E. That would be categorical or qualitative. It's easier to do Q's and C's as opposed to Q's and Q's though. The number of correct answers on a statistics quiz. Well, that would be quantitative. How about the models of the cars at the DMV? That would absolutely be categorical. The lengths of newborns at St. Luke's Hospital born on Halloween 2022? That would be quantitative again. These are long words. Okay. Hopefully this makes sense to you, right? I try to put some meaning behind it with the mean. I know I'm hilarious. But that's just one way to try to help you differentiate between when something's going to be quantitative versus when it's categorical. Oh my gosh, there's even more terminology used with quantitative data. We have discrete data. This is where the number of possible values is a finite number. For example, the number of home runs an MLB player hits in his or her career is discrete because it can be assigned the value of 0 or 1 or 2 or 30, but it couldn't be 30.725, right? That doesn't exist. You either get a home run or you don't. Versus continuous data. This is where there are infinitely many possible values that correspond to some continuous scale. So the speed of a train is continuous because it reaches every possible speed between 0 and its greatest speed, such as 54 miles per hour, 43.202348848 miles per hour, etc. It's impossible to count the speeds of a train at every point on the journey. And this was something I remember my friend growing up had a Cadillac with a analog miles per hour odometer, right? Odometer? I think so. And what I would notice is that when he would speed up or slow down relatively quickly, because it would be counting up, it would skip numbers. So it would go from 52 to 54, or if he's braking 54 down to 51, down to 47. But, what I would look at it and be like, but it hit every single speed along the way. It just, the numbers couldn't keep up with how quickly he was accelerating or decelerating. Describe each quantitative datum as discrete or continuous. Datum is not a spelling mistake. That is the singular of data. Data is a plural word. Datum is its singular. the amount of sleep I got last night, this would be described as continuous. There's no way to pinpoint. It's very unlikely that I got exactly 8 hours, no minutes, no seconds, no nanoseconds of sleep. We would call this continuous. The number of students who are currently texting, so if we were in a classroom and I looked around, that would be a discrete number. I guess hypothetically, being that this is a video, maybe it is continuous, but no, because it would be, there can only be one person texting or 3 people texting, 12 people texting. There can't be 12 and a half. You can't be half texting. That's not a thing. The number of free throws a WNBA player makes, that would be discrete. We would be able to count 1, 2, 3, discrete separation between the different values that we could assign. The number of grains of sand on Earth, this was my philosophical one that I threw in here. I think you could argue this one either way. I think it's pretty close to infinite as we would ever get. You might be able to Google it and come up with some ridiculous number. So I'm not going to put anything because I think you can justify either way. Yes, you probably could sit there and count them, but it would take you forever. And the heights of sunflowers, last one, this would be continuous, right? You can try to measure it as best you can. You're never going to know the exact height. It would be impossible to get an exact height there. These have been some definitions that we use in statistics. I hope you enjoyed my examples, and I encourage you to think about other examples for each of the scenarios that I did here. Thank you for stopping by.